Okay, it's been a while since I've updated my Toolbox tour video, so I just wanted to make a quick update now that I am in my new shop. I have the toolboxes set up on the right-hand side of the shop. I'm going to be going over the three that are in this frame right now. This is my coworker's icon box. Maybe I'll do a separate video of that at some time as well. In the shop, I decided to do these warehouse shelves so I can stack stuff above. I have very tall ceilings, and then I have my stations where I keep toolboxes and workbenches. This shop's much nicer than my old one. I've got my 18,000 pound two-post lift in here, plenty of ceiling clearance for it. I can get a medium duty truck all the way up on that, no problem. A couple more things in here. There's my lathe over in the corner. The power in the shop is three-phase. So my compressor runs on three-phase, the lathe runs on three-phase. Got the welders over there in the corner, plasma cutters. That big Lincoln welder will also run on three-phase if I wire it for that. But let's get back to the boxes. Here is my Cornwell tool cart with the power tool slide drawer. I've had this now long enough to have it paid for. It's the top. I've got one of those snap-on magnets here at the top. Keep some of the things that I use often. Been using these Blue Point bobby pin pullers quite a bit. My snap-on mini flush cuts. These are dent fix pliers for removing the snaps on the dent fix. I guess the things that you weld on to pull the dents out. But what I use these for is body clips and push pins. They work really well for that. Just picked these snap-on flush cutters up off the truck on Friday. They have a very, very precise tip on them. I got a thing for flush cut pliers. I probably don't need these, but I think they're cool. I was back on that magnet. That magnet sticks really well. I've never had anything come off of there. So here's the top of my cart. I keep most of the sockets that I'm going to use on a daily basis in here, and those are all like my Cornwell swivels and quarters. I got deep 3/8. There's some shallow 3/8 swivels, and then my 1/2-inch metrics, and then I got some snap-on just straight walled sockets. They're just the sizes that I use commonly. Couple of old Craftsman pry bars. You got this snap-on, I guess they call this a cabinet screwdriver. It's a flathead with a long shank. I use this often for not necessarily fixing automotive things, but a lot of different like appliances and things. Slushy machines. This is great for removing the flathead screws on the freezer cones because it's hard to get back into them. And for some reason, they still make them with flat-headed screws. There's the transmission bar from Cornwell. It's a 1/2-inch on this side. It's like freaking 3 feet long, and it has a 3/8 on the other end. Use that all the time. There's the snap-on, what is that thing? The BT518 pry bar. It's a forked tip pry bar. You use this on air brakes. It has a lot of other good uses too. Popping control cables off of transmissions, those shift levers, works good for that too. Let's see what else up here. My long Milwaukee 3/8 power ratchet. There's a set of Icon 1/2-inch extensions. Some extra tips that I keep hidden for the plasma cutter because somebody always wrecks the tip on it, so I keep an extra set here so when I use the plasma cutter it has nice tips on it and it cuts well. Let's move this out of the way. This is my Noco GB150 boost box. Use this quite often. This will start big trucks, diesel engines, heavy equipment. It's got a really annoying light on it. Don't know why it has it. Never used it. Only ever accidentally turned it on. Let's see. Stuff I use all the time. I do a lot of VWs and Euros, so I've got some triple square. Here are my long metric hex. These are Icon. They've been pretty good. The only complaint I've had is some of the shafts have come out of the socket part, but that's easily glued back in. Never have a problem again. Here are my Icon short Torx. Use those quite a bit, no problems. Here is the Snap-on long Torx. You know, I don't use these as much as I thought I would. They seemed like the thing that I needed. You know, spent $400 on the set off of the truck, and I guess I use them enough to justify it. You know, when you do need them, they're pretty nice. Along the back side here, 6-point mid-deeps and 3/8 metric, still probably my go-to sockets. There's a couple of 3/4 extensions, a chrome, I think that's a Cornwell. I think the impact one is a Snap-on. Then various big sockets. A lot of these are my my 3/4 inch drive and 1 inch drive stuff. Here's a 2.5 inch drive socket. It's a Bud, standard Bud socket, metric Bud socket. Just a mix match of the larger sockets that I use. None of my 1 inch sets are in here. I have those all in a cabinet. There's a 1 inch drive to 3/4 adapter. That's a Proto. And another one. There's a Harbor Freight one. Shockingly still in one piece. I guess that's that for the top drawer. We'll come over here to the side. This is where I keep most of my ratchets. Got long extensions over here. Some are Cornwell, some are Snap-on. Say Cornwell 1/2 inch drive ratchet, Cornwell 3/8. Here's my short Snap-on 1/4. There's my long Snap-on 1/4. Really a fan of this ratchet. If you don't have one, go get one. Use it all the time. Especially on the front of motors whenever I'm doing timing belts, timing chains, stuff like that. It's an old Craftsman 3/8. I use this sometimes, I guess. Then we've got the Cornwell extensions. I've got more Cornwell extensions ordered. I ordered the lockings in both 1/4 and 3/8 when they were on special 6 months ago, and I still have not seen them yet. Go to the first drawer on the top here. These are my primary wrenches. We've got over here, mostly Cornwell on the metric side here. There's some cheap, no-name clutch, Autocraft, who knows, thrown in there as well. And then here are my larger Snap-ons. Those go from 13/16 all the way up to 1 inch. These are extra long Flank Drive Plus. There's the rest of my standard Snap-ons, extra long Flank Drive Plus. There are my mountain wrenches. These things are great. Make sure your truck driver always has a set of these on the truck because you will warranty them often. Next drawer, screwdrivers and picks. These are the Snap-on flat hose picks or radiator hose picks. These are the best. In my mind, no other radiator hose pick exists. I think Cornwell has started making this style too. After these, I would never ever go back to the sharpened ones ever again for doing hoses. Here are O-ring picks, Cornwell pick set. And then some different body pin poppers. That's the bigger one. There's the little one. There's the old style Cornwell picks. I don't use these for hoses anymore. I use those for like big cotter pins and things. It's my favorite carbon scraper. It's got the angle on it and it cuts on the draw. It's good for getting inside of things. A few extra bits around. There's a Via Xeno bit. Next drawer. These are mostly my snap-on angle head wrenches. These are all in standard. I've got snap-on all the way from, that's a 3/8 up to 1.25 inches. From there I go to these Harbor Freight angle wrenches to 2-inch. Believe it or not, I have never had a problem with any of these Harbor Freight wrenches, and I do use these quite often on big hydraulic fittings and things. So they get used. I think at that size wrench, they're perfectly fine. I do prefer the snap-ons. They have better handles. They're more comfortable, all that stuff. And then also in here, I've got a Cornwell flex head. And I've got the big snap-on flex head, fine-toothed 1/2-inch drive. I do not get comfort grip on this because that makes it harder to get a pipe around the end of it. And oftentimes on heavy equipment, that's what this thing gets used for. My driver knows, he still warranties it. I keep some scissors around. I kind of got a thing for scissors. These are an antique set of high leverage Wisses. These are my favorite scissors. Let me change my hands so I can show you. This is a set of Wiss Taylor scissors. These are large. I use these for doing upholstery mostly, seat recovers and things. Do a lot of golf cart work, so I'm reupholstering seats all the time. These come in quite handy for that, and they just look cool. These are probably about 100 years old, and I have not seen anyone make a pair of scissors that I just enjoy more than these. They're so ergonomic and giant and imposing. Probably not something you often see in a mechanic's toolbox. Next drawer. This is where that boost box goes when it is normally charged. Sorry for the poor camera work there. In the back, that's going to be my snap-on 3/4 inch torque wrench. Next is my Precision Instruments 1/2 inch clicker style, and then in the front there is my snap-on digital 3/8 torque wrench. In addition, there is also a KD Tools inch-pound indicator wrench for doing bearing preloads and such, and a junky inch-pound performance tool thing. Don't even know why it's in there because I don't think I've used it in years. Next drawer. Some bigger stuff down here. Here is my snap-on Vantage. The old school Vantage. I've got the KVA module on there. It is not a true oscilloscope, it's more of a graphing multimeter. However, I love this meter for certain applications. Like I said, I do a lot of golf cart work also, and it's good to have graphing meters when you're trying to diagnose connection issues, resistance issues, things like that. It gives you a measurable voltage drop. Underneath that is my snap-on BJP1 Master set. That is the only ball joint press I would ever own. If you do ball joints, especially on trucks, 1/2 ton and up, you need to go ahead and spend the money and buy that set. It is a difference maker, especially on 3500 Rams. Notoriously difficult to get out ball joints. What is that? That's a that's a VR6 or VW VR6 timing tool set for the dual overhead cam, the FSI motor. Next, we've got a airlift. Anytime I do any type of coolant work, I always use my airlift. Down here at the bottom, I've got my Snap-on 1-inch impact gun. I've got another 1-inch impact gun with a long anvil. I tend to use this one a lot more. It's just more compact. It's got plenty of power. Love it. Next, we've got, here's a set of these Nordsman drill bit index. I won't open it. They're drill bits. Everybody knows what drill bits look like. That's a really good set. I highly recommend it. What do we have here? Oh, this is for more stuff I do on campers and RVs. It's a press to tap propane leak detector gauge. I work on a lot of different stuff. There's some extra hoses for my gauges, air conditioning gauges, refrigerant gauges, different types of shims and press blocks and things like that for doing body mounts. Next, we'll go over to the power drawer. This is why I bought this tool cart right here, this drawer. Keep all my Milwaukee stuff in here. 1/2 inch, 3/8, quarter, a drill, angle grinder. What else is all in here? More ratchets. Oh, this is a little different here. Pull this out. This is what they call the installer drill bit or drill for Milwaukee. It's got this magnet on the front for holding the bits, but also these heads are, see if I can do it one-handed. The heads are interchangeable, so they come off. And I'll show you in just a second here. There's different head attachments for it, like this offset head, so you can get to screws tighter against a wall. What else is back there? Cornwell 1/2 inch air gun. There's my Ingersoll Rand 3/8 or 3/4 air gun. Got used and put away dirty. Don't know who did that. Don't think it was me. Next shelf, chargers, 18650s in there, Milwaukee batteries. Down there is my Milwaukee rivet gun, use that quite often. Also, what should be down there charging, but it's out on a vehicle, is my tablet for using Rostec VACCOM. So that is this cart. This is the second version of this cart that I've had. I bought these when they first came out. My Cornwell dealer bought this for me at the tool show, like what, 2 or 3 years ago. The very early versions did not have this black piece here, which keeps the cord minder coiled in. So I had constant problems with this coming undone, laying over, getting caught in the drawer, all kinds of problems. It took a while and many phone calls, but finally Cornwell decided to replace this box. It gave me a bad taste in my mouth about Cornwell boxes, though, in general. I had to call several different people. It wasn't my dealer, it was everybody above him. They didn't want to replace my box. It had issues. The powder coating on the top here was all coming off. It had rust underneath it, wasn't powder coated properly. I noticed when this one came in, it was packed different than the first one. They put a padded plastic all on the surface of this. So I know they had these issues, and it wasn't just me. The right thing to do would have been to replace this immediately when I asked the first time. But they didn't do that. However, eventually they did take care of me. All right, next over here on the wall, there's a big junky 3/4 inch ratchet. There's my 1-inch breaker bar. There's the big Cornwell 5-foot pry bar. What else is up there? Big pipe wrench. Also got hanging, there's an air filter blow tool, I guess you would call it. It's a award I have made for different achievements and stupid things. I broke this output shaft on the transmission of my truck. First time I tried to test the four-wheel drive out on it in the sand, just sheared it completely off. Then I decided to weld the worst snap ring known to man. It is the snap ring that holds in the jack shaft on a ZF5 HP automatic transmission. If you ever have to replace a jack shaft on one of those, throw the transmission case away and get a new one. This is almost impossible to get out. It sits in a bore about 2 feet deep. Had to make a tool a snap ring tool just to have a chance at this. Then once even getting this thing out, the whole assembly is press fit. There's almost no way to pull it out. The ZF tool made for getting it out is $1,000. You can get a case much cheaper than that. Don't ever bother. This is a reminder to me that some things are not worth fixing. Top drawer of the old Harbor Freight box. Not a lot has changed in here, just some organizational things. Still pretty much metric on this side and standard on this side. Some things have changed. I got this nice set of gray pneumatic shallow 1/2-inch standards, standard stuff, Lyle tap sockets, various special purpose sockets, say snap-on weatherhead socket. That one's in 3/4. That's the one I tend to use a lot, but I do still want to get a set, but they're ridiculously expensive. What else? Ooh, this is a neat little Cornwell. Oh no, rust. It's been very humid this year. This is a neat little Cornwell 10mm socket. It has a magnet that's spring loaded and it'll go down in here, so you can put a longer thing that you want to hold on to with a magnetic socket in this socket, and it works. Comes in handy, but man, it was like $35 for this one socket. Everything is getting expensive. There's the gray pneumatic shallow metric magnetic sockets. Use those occasionally, especially for interior work. Gear wrench, swivel Torx. Barely ever use those, but they do come in handy when you need them. Basic things, caging bolt, socket, thin wall, gray pneumatic. This is, I use this specifically for lug nuts on golf carts that I do lift kits on. They need a shallow wall socket. Driveline tool, that's about it for that. Next, in this drawer, some wrenches, just my set of Cornwell crow's feet. There's the snap-on bigger crow's feet, crappy line wrenches, some short open ends, closed ends. Just my set of Mac micro turns. Here are my snap-on metric angle wrenches. There's a set of deep Cornwell triple squares. Next, it's my set of standard and metric Cornwell zero offset box wrenches. There's some other stuff in there too. The 1415, also known as the Cummins turbo wrench. Next drawer, here are all my bigger other wrenches, old school double-ended Craftsman's, love those. Ratchet box end wrenches, I'm not that big of a fan, I don't have that many. Here are all my bigger open ends. All these are Cornwell in the front, they go to 32mm. And then in the back are the snap-on. These are all flank drive also, and they go to 1.25 inch. In the back is my giant 1.25 inch by 1 5/16 box end wrench that has the really cool, where is it? I don't know if you can see it there, the Boeing engraving. This wrench has special purposes, that's all I'll say. That. Next drawer, pliers. Pliers everywhere. You know, standard things, Nip-X pliers, same things that everybody has. Nip-X Raptor pliers, like those. The big Van Pop plier needle noses. That kind of stuff. The PWZ from Snap-on. This is the quick release style. I like those. We got the little one too. Haven't really used it too much. I just thought it was cool looking. And then this is the Harbor Freight style. This is kind of a copy of the Nip-X design. You know what? For 15 bucks or 20 bucks, whatever these are, they're pretty decent. Next drawer, different stuff, some brake stuff, brake bleeding things, Torx Plus, distributor wrench. This is pretty cool here. This is a Blue Point thing, and it has a 1/4 inch drive on the end, and then a knurled nut on this end. And you take it and you can, it's hard to do this one-handed, but when you turn the knurled nut, it turns down here. This thing's pretty long. It's good if you need to start a bolt in a very deep place and you want to start it by hand. These are, if anybody's curious, it's actually hard to find. I had to have my truck order it for me. I believe the part number is a TM-64. It's made by Blue Point. And the bottom drawer, air tools, hub sockets. Hey, here's this Harbor Freight right angle. This thing's pretty good. I've used it quite a bit. Another one of those Harbor Freight tools that's surprisingly good. Is that thing? Oh, 4-wheel drive socket. Let's see, left stack of drawers, junk, more junk. This stack of drawers. Oh, these things. These are the Blue Point metric hex head wrenches with the swivel ends. Man, I bought these thinking I'd use them all the time. I barely ever use them, but they are good when you need them. No good IPR. Still working on 6 liters, less and less lately. These are hydraulic hose plugs. I keep a set of these. I work on a lot of hydraulic things. Timing tools for a BHW diesel engine. Various fittings, lots of grease fittings in here. E-clips, cotter pins. Lugs, bud lugs, both directions. Got some studs too. Refrigerant O-rings, a Kubota wrist pin, roll pins, a good set of O-rings. These are the Vidahan 90 durometer. These things are awesome. But I think a set of these is about 120 bucks. I keep them because sometimes you have high pressure applications where the cheap O-rings will leak no matter what you do, and you pop one of these things in and you can get a little more torque on the fastener to hold it down and it'll stop a leak. Interior tools, helicoils, random, I guess. Some homemade attachments for the big slide hammer, my Astro pneumatic remote, pliers. There's an OTC adjustable gland nut wrench, more parts for my big slide hammer, piston ring compressor. And down here, it's some measuring tools, marking tools, big pipe taps, indicator gauges, micrometers, Harbor Freight lug nut set with the shields. It's come in handy quite often, believe it or not. And then there's some different seals for hydraulic rams, gland nuts, things like that. Next stack, box of Band-Aids, Sharpies, combination square mirrors, marking things, pressure washer nozzles for a sidewalk cleaner, I think that is. Silver streak marker, need one of these if you mark metal. Next drawer, various drill bits. Somebody has not put away my Butterfield tap handle in its appropriate box. That's better. Bigger drill bits, sheet metal gauge, measuring tools, dividers, reamer. It's a set of the Harbor Freight deburring tools, which one is missing. What else? Automatic center punch, long feeler gauges, good for doing Cummins. What else do we have? Here's files, snap-on files, brass drifts, more brass drifts, set of Starrett pin punches, drawer, hammers, Chevy big block clutch alignment tool, miscellaneous parts back there for the air hammer. There's Harbor Freight big dead blow, little dead blow, and just picked up one of these snap-on dead blow ball pens. Pullers, rings, pickle forks, pitman tools, stuff like that, and junk, wiring, diagrams, schematics, catalogs, receipts, that kind of stuff. All right, so that's my main box. I guess you would call it the main box. It's my airbrushing stuff on top of it. So we'll go over to the next bay. This is kind of my electronics workbench over here. I've got this rack here on my bench. There's the nice hot glue gun over there. If you don't own a nice hot glue gun, buy one. If it doesn't cost $100, go find one that is $100 and buy it. That's a Fasten Master. Huge, huge difference in a good one. I have various things in here, a lot of different connectors, leads, plugs, pieces, anything you need to kind of fix different electronic connectors. Here are the No Easy automatic strippers. Saw these on one of Adam Savage's video, and I was always reluctant about buying a cheap pair like this because I think these are under 20 bucks, but these things are freaking awesome and I use them all the time. Here are the Plier makes another line, or their line in Japan is called Engineer. So they've got different sizes and different kinds of these. This is another one, a small one, works well for like your M2s, M3s, M4 screws. X-Acto knife, more flush cutters. Here's a set of eyeglass pliers. These things are convenient because they've got those rubbers on them. These are cool. Saw these on Adam Savage, tested too. These are wire rolling pliers. So you use these if you need to roll wires to create loops. They've got all kinds of uses and purposes. I suggest getting a pair of these. Other stuff that's not automotive related, DIN rail stuff. I do control work, stuff like that. There's my power supply. It's a 0 to 30 volt power supply I use for testing. Here are my Bondhus Torx and no, those are metric T-handles. This is a Top Auto rework station, soldering station. It's got the soldering pin over here. It's a nice soldering pin, nice precise tip, good precise heat control. Has the Brillo pad inside there. I keep an extra one up here, and then it has the rework torch. Independently control the heat on this. This is good if you have to do any SMD work, if you ever get into replacing or trying to repair any circuit boards. Otherwise, I set this up and use it for heat shrink. It works great for heat shrink. Turns itself on and off. It's really nice. Laptop there. It's got some of my diagnostic software installed on it as well. An extra monitor. magnifier LED, getting old, need one of those. Here's kind of my electronic, I guess, workbox thing. Up here in the top, different stuff. It's a bunch of crimp connectors. There's my micro torch. Harbor Freight just came out with this bag. This is pretty neat. It's all these different Q-tips. I use these for cleaning connectors, things like that. Power Pro 4, I think, yeah. Underneath there's some more connectors. Ooh, these are cool. These are the IPA relay bypass switches. So it has a relay type in there and gives you a bypass switch, but it also gives you this loop to put an amp clamp on so you can test for draw, see what the circuit is doing. It's my Fluke Model 88. This is my primary meter, the one I liked the best. Receipts. Oh, there's my solder hands thing. This is the American made one. Buy that one. I like to make notes on it with a Sharpie depending on what I was doing. I was doing some control stuff for stage lighting, so I just write a quick cheat sheet of my pinout for a DMX connector. That way I can't screw it up. Different screwdrivers, some torque screwdrivers. This is the basic snap-on multimeter. This style, their new style. Over in that icon box I showed you earlier, he's got the deluxe model with Bluetooth. That one's really nice. I've thought about getting it. Here's my Electronic Specialties relay test kit. This is a must-have if you find yourself doing a lot of electronic diagnosis. Got lots of different adapters for doing all types of different relays. I see a lot of electronic issues, wiring problems, corrosion issues, so I'm set up for that type of work. So here is the very first butane soldering iron that I have ever liked. Kind of expensive. I mean, it's 180 bucks on their truck. They probably gave me like $20 off or something like that. But to me, this feels like a real soldering iron that someone who does electronics would appreciate. Right now, what it has on it is their heat gun tip. Use that for shrink wrap, things like that. But that tip is a quick change, and that comes off and it gives you your soldering tip. It's got good heat control. It ignites almost every time. It's got a magnet to hold this to it. Also, that magnet is useful for holding the soldering iron on things while you're using it. Here's a nice thing. Look, a sponge and a cup for water, because if you're soldering, you need this. Every time I see a butane torch and they don't include something like this, it just tells me it's not serious. It's not for people who do electronics and care about their soldering work. I like how it's got this soldering dispenser at the end. Kind of makes it all into one piece. Excuse me. And then underneath it's got all your other parts to it. It's got different tips. It has a plastic welding tip, which works okay. One of the misses on this I've tried to fix. It's not going well. They're kind of ugly, but I put some neodymium magnets on the bottom of this because I really think that that should be able to stick to something when I'm using it. So maybe I've mentioned it to the driver, maybe Snap-on will one day change that. Probably not. Here's the soldering iron tip. I've got the coarse tip on it because mostly I'm going to use this for wire splices underneath a car or somewhere where I don't want to bring out the soldering station. Do ubiquitous rolls of Tessa tape all over. If you're repairing wiring harnesses, most wiring harnesses are taped from the factory with a type of Tessa tape, whether it's the soft tape or the hard tape. If you want your harness repairs to look professional, you should be taping them up with Tessa tape. Excuse me. There's some more drivers. Top drawer here. Various things, big hemostats, battery cleaners, high voltage needle noses, battery cleaning tools, more forceps, things like that. Another pair of scissors, can't have enough scissors. Soundproofing roller. Snap-on battery pliers, love those. Nip-X side cutters, those are great. Nip-X cable cutters, these are freaking amazing. This is the Snap-on kind of all-in-one wire stripper crimper deal. I find myself using this quite often if I'm going over to a vehicle, or if, say, I'm fixing a trailer harness or something like that, and I don't want to take a bunch of tools with me. The crimper is not that convenient to use on this, but it is convenient that it is a one-stop shop for stripping and crimping. So this is what comes with me. Love the handle too. It's got a very flat profile. You can get good leverage. Okay, next drawer. More scissors, because I like scissors. These are the CRKT snap-ons. They come apart so you can sharpen them. Very cool. Precision screwdrivers, endoscope, terminal tools, LEDs, wire ferrule crimpers. If you want to do ferrules on the end of your wires and determinations and make them look professional, that's what you use. This thing, really cool, snap-on wire holder for soldering. You put the wires in here, you can space this thing back and forth. Nice for holding your wires together, and kind of hard to get to places in order to solder them. Cannot figure out what the wing nut does. Truck driver doesn't know what the wing nut does. If anybody knows what the wing nut does, please post it in the comments. Nah, we'll put it back later. Next drawer. There's my Autel code reader for medium duties. Snap-on battery tester. This is great if you do golf cart work, because it does have a setting for 8-volt batteries, which is amazing because most golf carts now run banks of 6/8 for a 48-volt total. Underneath there, my Auto Ingenuity dongle. There's a snap-on starter button. Wireless thermometer. Here is my FLIR thermal camera. Definitely something you need to own. Good for electronic diagnostics as well as hydraulic diagnostics. Get back in there. Okay. Next drawer. More diagnostic stuff. Probes, lead sets, fuses. Here is the, I think these are IPA too. Yeah, they are IPA. This is a set of IPA micro diamond files. We use these for cleaning connectors. Different probes. Some springy coily leads, I guess. Here is my Fluke tracer. This is a tone generator. Allows you to trace things. I use these for doing wiring harness diagnostics, tracing down intermittent shorts, things like that. Putting a tone across that line and then tracing the tone, determining signal strength is my way of choice. There's a PDI amp clamp. Everybody's got one of these, a homemade high voltage or high draw amperage test light. The spark plug tester thing. That's it for that drawer. And then the bottom drawer. Here's the really cool snap-on wire installer kit. I saw this, I thought, man, I'll use that all the time. Never been opened. But I bet it will be cool the day I need it. Also in here, more wire ferrules. I use a significant amount of wire ferrules for building different things. There's another set of them. More crimp connectors, heat shrink, different types of heat shrink. What do we got down here? Large connectors, crimps. This all back. A bottle of neodymium magnets because you never know. Here's There's my Astro Pneumatic weather pack toolkit. There's some more weather pack connectors. This one here. Oh, these are Ford door clips. You have to buy these in like a giant bag, so I got tons of them. And oh, there's that other VW radio tool. Just wondering where that was. Oh, and there's my resistors. I keep different types of resistors. A lot of times testing different components, they want you to add a resistor line to the circuit to do some sort of test. We'll try to keep a good selection of resistors around. And I do believe that is about it for my boxes. I probably have a little more unique variety than a lot of people do. I work on anything from cars to heavy equipment, to medium duty trucks, to golf carts, to appliances, all kinds of things. Oh, one more thing. We'll walk over here and I will briefly go over this, is my cabinet. This Craftsman locking cabinet. This is where all the blow mold things live. Sorry for my crappy camera work. Lots of blow molded cases up there, tap and die sets, thread cleaner sets, hydraulic testing kits, gauges, oil pressure gauges, vacuum gauges, anything you can think of. There's different rivet sets in there, plastic rivets. There's a couple of my sets of 1-inch Harbor Freight sockets. Fuel injection test kit, torque multiplier, vacuum pumps, hand vacuum pumps, Battlestar Galactica test light, abrasives, slide hammers, got 2 different sizes down there, different timing tools, air hammers, and there's, who knows, there's all kinds of stuff in here. Lug nut tools. Oh, here's the Icon set of snap ring pliers. Welding stuff. I keep my welding hood in there, my welding jacket. There's some Time Zerk sets, Durablocks, abrasives. Here's the top for my my Motive power bleeder. Love the Motive power bleeder. Great for European cars, great for Toyotas whenever you have to do ABS work. Circular saw blades that I don't want anyone else touching. There's some different manuals in there. Another stack of Tessa tape. And I think that is about it. Everybody knows what blow mold cases are, so I'm sure no one's interested in me going through every one of these things. That would make a very long and boring video. All right, so that is my toolbox tour for 2022. Hope everybody enjoyed it.